Good morning, and welcome to another edition of the Destination Fantasy Podcast. It's week 4. We are underway about a month into the season, and I'm excited. I'm here with my brother from another mother, Mr. Walter. How you doing this morning?
Doing good, doing good.
Nice. And we have our first guest of the season. Kind of met him on social media a couple of weeks ago. We finally got it scheduled. We also here with Shane. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing good. I'm very excited to be here.
Nice. Shane, tell us, you got a podcast. What's it called?
Yeah, so I run a podcast that's in its first season called Next to the Block, which is a collaboration with Wild Chat Sports and Super Draft Fantasy. It's essentially kind of a competition podcast where we talk a little bit about the week, but also each week everyone has to submit a quarterback, a running back, and a wide receiver. Or / tight end. Once someone takes a player, they're no longer allowed to take him, and if at any week they are the lowest score, they are cut from the league altogether.
Ooh, that's cutthroat.
Yeah. So it's kind of like this kind of cutthroat reality kind of feel, which I really do love, and I think there's a lot of I'm really excited to keep that going.
Man, that sounds awesome. Like seriously, definitely gonna check that out. All right, so today just gonna go over today's games. Before we get into it, quick recap of Thursday. Bengals Jags. That game ended up being more entertaining than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess really quick, what are you all's thoughts on Burrow's performance, Trevor Lawrence's performance? Do you feel comfortable with these guys going forward? Like, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I feel like both of them. They are. What did he say? What was the guy from Arizona? They are who we thought they were. I can't think of his name.
Oh, Dennis Green.
Yeah. Yeah, Joe Burrow. He is what he is. I think he's, Cincinnati's got a bright future ahead, and the same for the Jags and Trevor Lawrence. Despite Urban Meyer, he'll only be there for about a year. According to sources, his health is starting to get bad because that losing record. The more L's Urban Meyer sees, the worse his health is. So I think he'll be out of there. I'll give him about a year or two, and yeah.
Okay, Al agrees with you. He needs help.
Right.
I mean, here's what I'll say. I do think that Joe Burrow is who he is. I'm someone who really thinks he is starting to come into his own. I think last year he just got really beaten up. And I think Lawrence is okay. I think out of all the rookie quarterbacks, he's shown the most potential, but it almost feels like with Lawrence, he's like Burrow from last year, where he really doesn't have the team around him to thrive, even though he may have elements of being a good quarterback. He needs another year. He needs people around him to start to succeed. So right now, I think Lawrence is definitely a little more of a question mark than Burrow, but I think next year, if he shows Burrow-like progress next year, I think the Jaguars can become a quiet threat in the AFC South.
Well, hold up. So, Trevor Lawrence is supposed to be this like generational talent. So, and we look at my background, give you a little bit of, bam, there he is right there. I really miss that guy. So Trevor Lawrence, like when he came in, I thought he was gonna have the same type of impact as Andrew Luck when he first came in, and it's not quite there because Andrew Luck wasn't surrounded by talent. Yeah, he had Reggie Wayne, but Reggie Wayne was on the tail end of the season, and there were like a bunch of rookies, and he had Chuck Pagano as well. And as we see, that Chuck Pagano really wasn't, he wasn't like head coach material. He wasn't even defensive coordinator material, just to be honest.
No.
So despite all that, Andrew Luck came in, and that's the same ballpark that Trevor Lawrence was supposed to be in. So, I really don't know. I'll give it a next year as well, but he was definitely like all the hype. I don't think he really came out like that.
I mean, I'll definitely say that I think sometimes our perception on rookie quarterbacks is a little bit askew, where we expect them to do really well right out of the gate. We think about Andrew Luck, we think about Russell Wilson, we think about like Lamar Jackson, who does so well in their rookie year, and then we're like, oh, their bar is so high right now. But I think in reality, a lot of rookie quarterbacks, especially in this COVID era, are there's kind of a bit of a misunderstanding a little bit of what can be done in practice, what can't be done in practice. I think coaches are still trying to figure out what the optimal way of doing things are. And remember, Trevor Lawrence split snaps with Gardner Minshew in the which again, that's I think a really poor mistake on Urban Meyer. But remember, he hasn't had the reps to properly, I think, get used to the current team he's around yet, and I think he just needs more time to gel and more time to adjust to the NFL landscape. And I think we will see that. But I think Lawrence is at a bit of a disadvantage compared to Luck. So I don't know if that's a fair comparison.
Yeah, I mean, but at the same, we're gonna spend a lot of time on this. Oh, my bad, Jamar. Okay, but you say he was splitting reps with Gardner Minshew. Gardner Minshew didn't have that much like preparation last year. He was a backup quarterback to Nick Foles. I don't think he was getting the reps that Trevor was getting in the offseason. And that's just it's from the outside. I don't want to give them too much props just because I'm in the AFC South as well. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I really want Trevor Lawrence to do well, except when he plays against us. But yeah, we'll see.
I think he's getting better, and I think even so, I think he's getting better. And I do think, as much as I don't think Lawrence is going to be amazing, I do think he's going to continue to improve as the season gets along.
Yeah, I think I agree on that. I agree.
Yeah, I would third that. I would say that they kind of compared his physique and how his impact might be like Peyton Manning. When Peyton Manning first came in, the first year wasn't the greatest, but after time he started to excel, rapidly and became, the legendary quarterback that we know. And so, I mean, I think Trevor can be on that path as well. Like, it's just more so the support system around him, making sure he has like the right resources to make sure he can be as successful as possible. You saw flashes of, the reasons why he was the number one pick, right? And so, like, I guess we just give it some time, and I do agree with you, Shane, as far as, as the season progresses, he will get better. He should. And as far as Burrow, I mean, last year to me, like with the eye test before he got hurt, he looked like every bit of that number one pick. And now with the Bengals organization actually listening to him and drafting his teammate, Jamar Chase, great name, by the way. He is I think he's gonna like blossom into probably has a chance to being the best quarterback in that division one day. I mean, honestly, he's probably the second best quarterback in that division right now, in my opinion.
Who's first? Lamar.
Lamar for now.
Yeah,
I think Lamar. I think Lamar can sometimes be on and off.
Absolutely.
I think it's going to depend. Yeah. It's going to depend.
Yeah.
All right. So, let's get into today's slate. Ton of games. We're gonna start off here in Atlanta. We got the football team and the Falcons. Taylor Heineke. I mean, I feel like if he's gonna show you something, like have a chance to put up 20 plus points here, this is the game to do it.
Yeah.
We know Terry McLaurin has been basically quarterback proof in his career thus far. It's just more so for me, because I am an owner of Antonio Gibson in a couple of leagues, is like, is he gonna get going today? That's what I really want to know. So I guess, is there anybody in this game that you're looking forward to break out? It could be Kyle Pitts on the other side, because I know there's a lot of people that pick Kyle Pitts at a high enough pick to where the return on investment is not showing right now.
Washington's defense. I'm looking for Washington's defense.
Yeah.
Like their best game of the season. Like, I'll take that unit today for 500.
Yeah, I think that Washington's defense, I think that the Falcons offense has some question marks. And then I think the interesting thing I think about this game is that I think, yes, Taylor Heineke could go up, but I could also see a very heavy approach on the running game. I think Washington's offense is going to succeed, but I'm not exactly sure how they're going to succeed. I don't know what their game plan is essentially going in. Are they going to focus more on the run game that helped them score the 14 points they did against Buffalo, or are they going to let Taylor Heineke go off, shake off the bad game, and take advantage of maybe a misperception of him right now? So my instinct is saying pass offense, but I could absolutely see Gibson going off on the run game.
I hope so. I have Gibson in, I think, 2 or 3 leagues. He hasn't had that game to where I feel comfortable, set it and forget it type. type feel. But I mean, Atlanta is a definitely a benchmark to see exactly what type of production I'm gonna get out of Antonio Gibson going forward.
Absolutely, I think that's fair point. And I think right now, I agree that from a fantasy standpoint. I think from a team standpoint, I think this is going to be a very big test for Taylor Heineke right now to try to show, hey, you want to potentially take Ryan Fitzpatrick's job away while he's out. This is a key game for you to take it with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, they gave him that 2-year contract extension in the offseason. So, hey, opportunity, take advantage of it. You never know what may happen.
Yeah, you played the best against Brady, you get the contract extension.
Seriously. And like I mentioned, as far as the Falcons side, I mean, Kyle Pitts, I mean, the way that the Washington's defense has been playing, I mean, this could be a game where, he might find pay dirt. Or it could be another type of game where he gets 3 catches and 40 yards and call it a day. Too much talent there to not be utilized, right? So, I don't know. Atlanta will have to figure it out. All right. So, we're going to go to a game that's near and dear to your heart, Shane. And Shane is a member of Bills Mafia. He's a legitimate member, 20 miles away from the stadium. I feel honored to have somebody here that's part of Bills Mafia.
Oh, thank you. I remember we were actually talking before the broadcast on this game, and we were actually talking, and it's something that I do want to bring up. I do think this is going to be a Bills win. I think the 17.5 point spread that they're putting on this game is a little zealous. I think we're hearing that it's potentially going to get rainy and it's going to stay rainy. So I think this game may be a little bit sloppier than I think people expected. But I just do not think David Mills is going to be able to produce the offense to be able to actually overcome and create a trap game situation, because you could argue that, well, they have the Chiefs next week. But I also look at it from I think that right now they say they're only focusing on the Texans, and I do think that maybe the Steelers' loss kind of humbled them a bit, especially considering the Steelers' record right now. They're 1-2. They're not. I don't think they were as good as the Week 1 game that they played, because they haven't won since then.
I can see that, and I do agree with you as far as how that loss transpired, and right now you see the Buffalo Bills playing at least 3 or 4 notches higher than that game, because Bills was winning, and then all of a sudden, second half, the Steelers special teams and defense just, I got a spark out of nowhere and ended up with a result that I didn't expect at all. But since then, Bills have handled business, looking like the best team in the AFC. And so I guess let me ask you this. So Stephon Diggs hasn't been, I guess, the Stephon Diggs that we used to seeing last year. Between the usage rate and, just other guys, happen to score in the running game. I mean, between Moss and Singletary finding the end zone more often than we thought, it's is there a chance that Stephon Diggs can, have a performance today? I know you mentioned rain, but against the Texans, it's anything could happen.
I absolutely agree with that. I think that this could very well be a game that Stephon Diggs does well. I will say that I kind of will say that I do not necessarily fault Diggs, because Diggs, I believe, going in, I mean, you have to remember, he was the number 1 receiver last year in the entire league. So I think when a lot of teams, especially early on, game plan the Bills, I think they wanted to double cover Diggs. Force him to go to Beasley, who's on the older side. Force him to go to Sanders, who is in his first year. Force to go to Davis, is only a second year, first year with the Bills, and then Davis, who's a second year player. Force them to kind of work around the other pieces, and Josh Allen, for the most part, has been able to start doing that. I do think, though, Diggs, as Emmanuel Sanders had that epic game last week, I think teams are going to start to lay off Diggs, and I think that's when they're going to be able to punch him in the throat with Diggs. So it's because of that kind of varied offense where Diggs is taking away their defense, and then other players are open, and now people realize, hey, these other players are open. We got to leave Diggs a little bit of room, and now Josh Allen's going to be able to throw it down to Diggs more.
That makes sense. No, that makes sense. So yeah, as far as this game, definitely expect Bills Mafia to win by
Absolutely.
far.
Yeah.
The spread, I agree with you. I can't see them covering 17 or 17 and a half, but nevertheless, Bills should win this game fairly easy.
Oh yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
all right, so we have like bold predictions like on this show. Reason why I'm bringing that up because the next game I have one, which is a game that's near and dear to my heart, Lions and Bears.
Hmm.
So my bold prediction is Allen Robinson will finish a top 12 wide receiver this week. Um, and that's more so based on how things have unraveled this week. What I mean by that is between the how we got embarrassed last week, how the media like just crucified Matt Nagy. I mean, personally, he should be fired by now, but that's neither here nor there. Maybe after this game, they lose to the Lions, he's out the door on the first flight out of O'Hare Airport. Who knows? Um, but the fact that I'm hearing that he will not call plays gives me a lot of hope and gives me the warm and fuzzies inside. And the fact that the Lions, even though they have played really hard and maybe one of the most unlucky is 3 teams that I've seen so far, um, they have given up a lot of yards to opposing wide receivers or pass catchers. That's the number one's option. Debo Samuel, like Debo, that whole defense in week one. I think Mark Andrews had a breakout game last week, and I don't see a reason why Allen Robinson can't have one. And they actually named Justin Fields the starter, and I feel like he will have more time to throw instead of getting knocked down 7 to 9 times last week. So that's where I'm coming from with the Allen Robinson one here.
I think that with Allen Robinson, I don't disagree. I think the logic is there, but I think there's an with the Lions giving up a lot of points outside of the Ravens game. But Lamar kind of can be on and off at times, especially after the Chiefs game, kind of maybe coming off a bit of a high there. Right. I do think that my concern with that prediction doesn't really fall on Allen Robinson or even completely falls on Matt Nagy, but more falls on Justin Fields' current ability. And I don't think we've seen that Justin Fields has been able to produce a lot of offense in his first couple of games. And again, I don't necessarily fault Justin Fields for that. Again, first-year player, and Andy Dalton was starter from day one, was considered a starter. So I'm guessing he didn't get, he was sharing reps, getting used to the NFL experience a little bit, and he wasn't considered a generational talent. So my concern is more of, is this a game where Justin Fields is just a little too green to really produce that offense? If he and again, I don't think that's a statement against Allen Robinson. I think that might be a statement against the starting quarterback right now, or at least where the current starting quarterback is at the moment in his progressive career. So I think first of all, if the Bears lose this game, Matt Nagy needs to be out the door, because something, like, I don't think you planned for this season well enough. Like, I don't, like, yes, you got your rookie quarterback. You thought, all right, we'll give him a year on the bench, everything will be fine. And now Andy Dalton's out, and now you're kind of forced to throw him to the wolves, and people are just going to pick him apart, and you're going to just your record's going to continue to tank in a make or break year. I don't think you're going to be able to save. I don't think Matt Nagy is going to be able to save this.
So how much of Justin Fields' production do you guys attribute to their offensive line? He was basically signing autographs for the Cleveland Browns pass rush last week.
Oh, yeah.
He holds on to the ball a little bit longer, and hopefully they can work those kinks out with that. But I don't. Yeah, I put more on the O-line and Matt Nagy. I don't know if they let him like set up his protections or what. The whole scenario up there is just.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to completely disregard the line. Of course, the line's kind of not giving him opportunities, and I do want to make that very clear that the line and Matt Nagy are definitely part of the problem. But I think also with Justin Fields, but I'm also speaking with Justin Fields, like, from a fantasy standpoint, that's part of the situation you're kind of put in here, where if the line can't get it together and Matt Nagy can't, gets in his own way a little bit, even not being the play caller, but in terms of how to form things and his playbook at least. I don't know if Allen Robinson's a top 12 and beyond his own fault. Maybe it's just the wrong system. We've seen like Sam Darnold be with the Jets for so long and struggle when he's not really a bad player. I don't think this is a statement against Allen Robinson. I think it might be just the state of how dysfunctional the Bears are right now as a collective franchise.
Hey, I just think Jamar's life just goes.
No, but he's speaking the truth though.
Yeah.
You are. And so, like, I don't disagree with anything you said. I will say this, like, when he came into the game, when Andy Dalton got hurt against Cincinnati, I feel like that was more so, his performance was more so based on the game plan that was meant for Andy Dalton and not more so for his skill set. And then last week, I honestly, it either like
how many
Matt
times
Nagy was,
How many times did he get sacked?
Was it 9, 7, 9, somewhere, one or the other. Either Matt Nagy was just that negligent about the game plan, or it was intentional as far as purposely only having like 5 linemen protecting him, nobody, not like doing any play action, no read options, no RPO, no bootlegs, like nothing like designed for his skill set. So, like, personally, I can't even grade Justin Fields yet because they haven't given me anything to grade him with. It's
of course.
Just, and
of course.
So,
if Justin Fields is going to go off, it's going to be this game.
Yeah, and somebody verified 9 times that he got sacked. That reminds me of when what's his name? When Cutler got killed years ago against the New York Giants on prime time. About 9 sacks as well. So, I guess, nevertheless, like you said, this is the game. This is the game. Like, if we're going to be productive, if David Montgomery is going to be productive, Allen Robinson, Justin Fields, whomever, like, this is the game to do it. We have the Lions number. We own this team. They are known as the bottom feeders of the division. We lose this game. Yeah, he might need an escort out the stadium. Seriously. But really quick on the flip side before we move on, DeAndre Swift. I think he's running back 4 in a year right now in PPR formats. Do you think he can finish top 10 like for the rest of this season? Because I mean, he's shown the ability to take advantage of his opportunities so far.
So yeah, possibly. Like they don't have like a true number 1 wide receiver, so that that's their game plan. So if they're going to keep feeding him, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think I agree with that sentiment. I think that Jared Goff is still kind of getting used to the new team, and I also think that DeAndre Swift is going to get more and more incorporated into the game plan as the season goes along. And I think it's situational, but I think especially being a PPR running back, I think someone who is a play option. I'm sorry. Play option for Jared Goff, I think is going to allow DeAndre Swift to continue to do some significant work.
I can see that. And I can also see him having a big game today as well. So we will see. I think the Lions cover the spread, but Bears better win if somebody wants to keep the job. Next game. I find this game very interesting just because I'm still trying to figure out who this Carolina Panthers team is overall. I know the Cowboys been playing well. The Panthers are undefeated. Like, what are you all's expectations for this game? Because I can see a lot of different scenarios playing out here.
I think we're going to see who the Dallas Cowboys really are. They beat the Chargers and the Eagles.
Yep.
I think the Chargers are a really, really good team. The game against Tampa Bay was that was a really good game as well.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna see if they're really legit, especially that defense. And I think it's a really good measuring stick for Carolina as well. On the offensive side of the ball, let's see what Sam Darnold can do, because a lot of QBs have been able to go there and kind of have their way. with Dallas's defense. So let's see if Sam Darnold has really been revised going down to Carolina, which I think he has been. I look forward to seeing his wide receivers against that Dallas secondary.
Mm-hmm. The interesting thing about this game to me is I think a lot of people are concerned of whether the Cowboys or Panthers may be frauds. And I think like in the terms of like they're maybe looking that they're better than they actually are. But I actually think from my perspective, I think that they may both be good teams here. And I'm not the biggest Cowboy supporter, but I think that the Cowboys have played well this year, and I could see them playing both of these teams playing a very close game, one of them losing, and then going on to win the next 2 or 3. Like, I think it's I would say like it's a good measuring stick for both. I think I will say this, whoever pulls this game out, I don't think there should be a question in my head that they are legit. They are a legit threat. They are a legitimate team. If it's the Panthers, you are legitimately 4-0, and you are an official threat in the NFC. Yeah. I think you are capable to go against the Rams or go against the top contenders and give them quite a scare, at least because you have a complete team, even if your offense isn't as flashy as some of those other teams. And I think for the Cowboys, they play close to Tampa Bay. They've beaten the other 2 teams. I think this is also a team that's very close, and it seems like if they can pull this game off, they also are in that spot. But I also think if either of these teams lose, they're still a solid team and very well. I think both of these teams are teams we're going to see in the postseason. So we could be seeing a preview of a potential matchup come January right now. As much as people don't think about that right now, I think this is a potential preview.
I mean, that's crazy to think about, but it can be realistic.
Yeah.
So I wanna ask this really quick before we move on. So DJ Moore has been playing out of his mind, and I love to see it. So has the Dallas pass catchers between CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper. I guess more so CeeDee Lamb. Which one has the better day, DJ Moore or CeeDee Lamb?
Ooh, I'm gonna say DJ Moore. And
I think DJ Moore. I think it's tough because I think you could argue the Dallas pass catchers as good pass catchers in this league, but I also think the Panthers defense has played at a higher level, I think, than the Dallas defense, and I think Dallas has at least shown signs of giving up points to good teams like they did to Tampa.
Sure. So I guess either way, I'm definitely gonna have eyes on this game. Just from a pure football fan, I'm gonna have eyes on this game, but I'm definitely gonna keep an eye on those pass catchers as well. All right, so we're gonna take our talents to South Beach here. We got the Colts and the Dolphins. I'm a Jonathan Taylor owner in a couple of leagues. So Mr. Colts Nation up there with the Andrew Luck poster and the Andrew Luck jersey he's wearing right now.
We need a little luck.
Is my guy Jonathan Taylor gonna get going? Like,
I just need my offense to get going. If it's Jonathan Taylor, if it's Jonathan Taylor Thomas, if Lawrence Taylor come out of retirement, start running, I need the Colts offense to pop. And if they do pop against Miami, dude, I'm gonna be so excited because Miami has a really good defense. From the outside, people are gonna be like, "Oh, Carson Wentz this, Carson Wentz that." Our offensive line is in shambles right now. Quentin Nelson's not there. Braden Smith's not there. Eric Fisher's is coming off an Achilles. Freaking Ryan Kelly, he was dealing with an injury as well. So the healthiest lineman we have is our right guard, and his name is Mark Lewinsky. So we'll see. Hopefully Jonathan Taylor takes off. I can't make any guarantees. I don't even want to predict my game just because we're so unpredictable.
Honestly, and maybe again, like I know I Bills got those. I'm very much aware of that. I'm not gonna say that this may come. I might have a little bit of a biased perspective here, but I just don't think I think Miami has been a little bit highly praised for what the team is right now, which I think they've given up a fair amount of points this season, even in their win against the Patriots, which the Patriots are not that good of an offense right now, as you've seen from the last couple of weeks. I mean, yes, okay, week 2 they played the Jets. They play the Jets. Congratulations. You are not the worst team in the league. But like you saw what happened with the Saints. I don't think this is a particularly good team. And I do think that the offense had and again, like I think the Dolphins have shown close games, but I also think they've given up a fair amount of points, especially since Tua got hurt. Yeah. And I think like you see the Bills game, you see the Raiders game. I think the Colts right now, I think it's a good game if they have their offense to get it going, because I do think that they may be startled and flustered with struggling to score points as much as they have. So I do think this will be a close game, but I do think that again, this is I don't necessarily think the Dolphins are playing as high of a level as they have been this year, at least from a defensive standpoint.
No, they're definitely subpar, underachieving right now based on what we've seen in recent memory. I know the quarterback play doesn't help in that regard either. I just read that Tua is expected back October 17th, so 2 more weeks from now. So Jacoby is the guy.
What does that really mean, though? Because what has Tua done? I mean, exactly. He's not playing with the University of Alabama anymore with a loaded wide receiver core. Like, what does that even mean? Like, yeah.
I mean, better than their current guy.
I mean, I wouldn't even say that, man, because Jacoby, he played here for a while, and he's a poor man's Tyrod Taylor. But Tua hasn't shown us anything. Yeah. Except, I mean, the medical staff down in Miami can get him back together. That's basically about it.
It's crazy because, if this was about maybe even 10 years ago, like the patience of having a young quarterback, they'll give them a few years before they actually make a decision. Nowadays, it's like, what have you done for me lately?
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't start too many games last year, but it was already rumblings like he might not be the guy. And now this year, he only played a couple of games, and it's like you still got a small sample size, but people are already fed up because they seen Joe Burrow go out there and do it. They seen Justin Herbert have a sensational rookie year. So it's like, how come you're not as good as them? That's the question.
But this goes back to like when we had Luck and RG3 come in, those guys made an immediate impact. I mean, they're like, hey, we can get somebody who can come in and be productive. Yeah, it's like this sitting around like Aaron Rodgers. That ain't happening.
and Russell Wilson was part of that class too, right?
Yeah, Russell Wilson. Yeah, I think it was a 3rd round draft pick.
Yep.
Yeah, 3rd round. So, I mean, but also I will say that like something that does buck the trend, like you consider the current like superstars of the league. You look at Aaron Rodgers, older player, but look at Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, 2 players who Josh was kind of thrown in the fire, but he wasn't really performing that well in his first year. Right. And then you also like honestly better than I think people expected. They expected them to go 2-14, and they somehow went 6-10 thanks to like the coaching and everything like that. But Patrick Mahomes sat a year as well under Alex Smith, and Patrick Mahomes is outside of like last week and maybe the week before that had been playing like an MVP. So I think there's definitely 2 schools of thought with it, but I think with the Dolphins situation, I don't know exactly what Tua's situation. I don't think Tua is that good. I think they should be concerned, and I think there should be I think the rumblings are justified in Miami, if I had to be honest. Although I will say, I think they're even so, I think in my eyes, they may be at, if not the same level with Brissett, I think they're similar. I'm sorry, if they're not like, I think it's a similar level, or at least the fact that Tua is the considered starter, there's like a comforting thought of having that starter who has been in the locker room, who went into the offseason to starter as kind of like a team leader. That guy is currently hurt and out. Like, I think that shakes a team at its core from a fundamental standpoint, and I think that's why like other aspects are starting to fail. So I'm not saying that it's going to get a lot better with Tua back, but I think it may get a little better than Brissett because I think there may be more confidence back in the team and still when their starting quarterback returns.
Here comes one of my analogies. Okay, so
go for it.
All right, you got 2 cars. You got a Honda Accord, who is Jacoby Brissett, and then you got this brand new Kia. yeah, it's nice and shiny and it's got all this potential, but at the end of the day, it's still a crappy car. I think that's the situation that Miami's in. It's like, hey, yeah, I want to drive this new Kia, but I mean, I know what I'm gonna get out of Jacoby. Jacoby's not gonna turn the ball over. I don't know, man. Like, it may become a situation later on in the year where he's not even on the field again. That's why they're still in the talks with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, Deshaun Watson is definitely a serious conversation right now because I do think, like, again, Tua's situation may force Miami's hand in the matter on that. But again, like, honestly, Watson coming in the beginning of the year, someone who hasn't really seen the playbook that much. Are you trying to save this year? Miami, you're not doing that well this year. Like, this is even if you get Watson in, I think this is going to end up a dead year because if you're going to Watson, by the time you get Watson, he's accumulated with the playbook, you're going to be so far behind. Yeah. He's going to have to play lights out for you to just maybe squeak a wild card spot in. Like, I think Miami at this point, the best thing they can do, and that's outside of the allegations and the suspension he'll probably take next year. That's outside of that. I think that it's probably just better for Miami at this point to see what Tua and a little bit of Brissett right now, but mostly Tua once he gets back. What can he do? And reconsider your options for next season based on his play right now. I think that's the best thing Miami can do because I think this isn't going to be a playoff year for Miami. And if they want to turn things around, this has got to be a litmus test here to see what's not working.
Yeah. No. I agree as far as, Tua probably isn't that good. And, bringing in somebody right now, if it's Deshaun Watson or whomever, I mean, this point in the season is really not going to push the needle at all based on learning the system and getting camaraderie and things of that nature. Because there's a lot of intangibles that go into it that's outside of all the statistics and things that we can point to in that regard. So it's just, I think Tua is just unfortunately in a bad situation unless his play actually gets better, because normally year 3 is the year that, teams start evaluating to see if they have their franchise guy or not. But it seemed like it's year 2 for him right now. So, because honestly, the Miami Dolphins are a pretty good or almost close to the elite quarterback away from making some real noise. That's
absolutely.
They're the Denver Broncos.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, I mean, that's just the deal that Tua got. Like, you just happen to fall in that lap. Like you mentioned, Josh Allen, when he first came in, he was considered raw talent. But Josh Allen, between the coaching and maybe his own will and desire to actually get better, leaps and bounds, and look at the contract he got. So he's an MVP candidate. So it's a lot of different things that go into the pot. I don't know if Tua is doing his part in that pot though. So we're gonna find out.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
So yeah, that game is a little interesting to me. I'm just hoping there's some production from my guy Jonathan Taylor. We'll see. Here's a game that I find very intriguing, and I hope the road team wins this game. Browns at Vikings. I know Dalvin Cook's still questionable. I think he'll play, but we'll see. I call Nick Chubb Sir Nicholas Chubb because he deserves that title because he is that good. I mean, I feel like this game can be a shootout, but I can feel like it could be a run fest as well. I feel like this is one of the games with a lot of possible outcomes as well. Like, is there any person or any particular matchup you all looking forward to in this game?
Go ahead, Shane.
Browns and Vikings, again, it's an interdivisional matchup against two teams that I'd argue have some good qualities that can make them very competitive and some not so good qualities that create some issues for them that prevents them from getting to the top of their respective divisions. It's almost like a parallel. It's almost like they are the parallel universes right now of each other, where it's just exactly. They both have disgruntled fan bases and quarterbacks who are solid but not exactly amazing quarterbacks with like decent running games and some controversy at the wide receiver position. Like you see, like the stories start to continue lining up. You understand? Like, I mean, my instinct is I lean a little bit Vikings only because they have home field.
Yeah.
But that is such a small advantage. I could see this game going any way as well. I think it's hard to make a distinct advantage other than the fact that if Cook is down and the Browns have the run game with Chubb and don't forget Kareem Hunt, best kicker in the league. I think that it's going to be. I think it's going to be a Browns win.
But that was barely a kick, though. I'm just going back to that, man. Hold on, man. Come on, man. That wasn't even like solid. Like,
let me correct that. Best fantasy performing kicker in the league.
Yeah. You know what? I say OBJ against the Viking secondary. You seen Joe Burrow ate him up, earlier in the year. It's, I know this is only OBJ's second game coming off the ACL, repair surgery or whatever. But I want to see if OBJ is going to step up. Baker's got to. I noticed something, and I watch stuff stuff like sports stuff all the time. It seems like Baker is like force feeding him the ball. So it's not that he's getting the targets or anything. I know Landry's out, but yeah, let's see how let's see if OBJ can step up. Have a pretty good game against Minnesota's defense.
I mean, Minnesota's secondary isn't the greatest by any means. I mean, I can see that. I feel like last week was a perfect storm against my team. Well, my team was terrible, but at the same time, the Browns ran a perfect scheme against them. So basically, you run the ball, you do play action, you find wide open targets. The Browns succeed. It's hard to beat them at that rate.
Yeah.
So I can see a lot of things going right for the Browns. I know the Vikings' offensive line isn't the greatest, even though they can still run the ball, but it's not the greatest. I mean, I can also see Justin Jefferson, actually blow the top off that defense and catch one, because the Browns, as good as they are, they can give up deep plays as well.
Yeah.
It's a lot. Like I said, it's a lot of different things that can go into this game. I can expect all fantasy relevant players to have a great game, or I can expect just a couple. I don't know, but I would say, play your guys that you got and see what happens, because I mean, more times than not, it should boom and bust in this one.
Yeah, this particular game is just really hard to. I'd say the Browns may have a slight edge, but I don't necessarily think that keeps the Minnesota wide receivers and offense from doing what they've been doing. I think if you have Kirk Cousins and you have Thielen and Jefferson, play them, because honestly, they may have to be, without the running game, they may be doing a lot of throwing anyways.
Seriously. And I'm on record, and I've said it plenty of times. I'll say it again. I call Kirk Cousins empty calories, because a lot of times the numbers that he put up are meaningless. But who knows? This might be a game where it actually has some meaning to it within that matchup. So the next two games have injuries. So at the wide receiver position. So, it makes things a little interesting. This first one here, Giants at Saints. I mean, there's no Sterling Shepard. There's no Darius Slayton. I'm pretty sure Kenny Galladay is going to get Marshawn Lattimore. So take that with a grain of salt. So the first round pick that they chose, in this past draft, Kadarius Toney hasn't really had much action.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like it's probably a good opportunity for him to do so. So that's my first question here. Does this rookie that they chose with 20th pick, actually become relevant today? Can he actually take advantage of this opportunity?
I don't know. I don't know. This is a tough one right here, Jamar. Wow. I mean, Saints defense is pretty decent.
Mhm.
You know, they got a pretty decent pass rush. I mean, can Daniel Jones get the ball out fast enough to him? I know he's like grease lightning fast, but you know, besides that, I mean, he hasn't shown any flashes at all. Like, you know, this season. I don't know.
Yeah, I think this is going to be. I will say, I do think this is going to be a blowout on the Saints. I actually do think the Giants are. I don't think the Giants have anything on this game. I think that yes, they're going to throw the ball a little more, which I think is unfortunate because I think Barkley is arguably their best player right now on offense.
Saquon?
Saquon Barkley. Yeah. Saquon Barkley is, I think, their best player on offense right now. And then I think you still have Kamara. You have Jameis Winston. You have Jameis Winston's got his targets and who he's throwing to, even without Michael Thomas's consistency. I think right now that it's just I mean, yes, I think Daniel Jones is going to throw the ball more, but I don't know if Tony's going to be able to do it. My instinct is against the Saints defense, no. I think this is just a really good defense when it plays well, and I think it's going to be I mean, yes, they got blown out by the Buccaneers, but the Buccaneers are maybe they're good, but they may not be great team, but I think a good team can beat an 0-3 Giants team that hasn't seen to get a grip on anything. But who knows? Maybe this turns to be a trap game. Maybe this is the game that everyone's expecting that outcome of the Saints winning by a lot, and they overthink it. They look to next week, and the Giants surprise everybody. So that's what I will say. Like, I do believe it's going to be a blowout, but I also think be a little wary on this game. I would not be surprised if the Giants somehow proved and pulled an upset here, because again, the Saints as a team may be looking a little farther ahead, and it might bite them. Because if they do, they do have Barkley, and they do have Daniel Jones has potential and has been able to score points for the team. I mean, maybe they do pull an upset off.
I mean, it's possible. I feel like in order for that to happen, the offensive line will have to show up for them somehow. This is their first legitimate home game in New Orleans, because the first one was in Jacksonville due to the hurricane. So that crowd might be electric. I can, like, more times than not, I can see this being a beatdown, just because the energy and the opposing team isn't that good in general. The fact that the Giants lost to the Falcons, to me, that's an all-time low. Like, how do you lose to the Atlanta Falcons? Because I can't see Atlanta winning too many games at all this year. So you lose to them, and I think you was at home too.
You have to try to lose to the Falcons. They like to give you games gift wrapped, like it's a Secret Santa gift exchange. Like it's like when you're doing that, you're planning it. It's kind of like they're offering you this. It's like, no, here you go. Just take that gift. Just thank you for all that you give the other teams in the league. Here you go. Here's a free one from us. Like they did with the Cowboys last year. Somehow, some way, they end up losing that game. They're very good. They're very good at doing that. Say what you will about the Falcons, they are consistent at that. But I think, again, like, you're right. I think losing to the Falcons is definitely a concern, but I also and I do agree, the Saints being at home is definitely a good thing. And I lean on the Saints offense to do what it does, but I always see, like, the NFL week doesn't go out exactly the way you predict it. And this is a game that I could also see, like, the Giants take that negative energy and that bitterness from the Falcons loss and take it out on the Saints. And I could see that, like, hey, when you hit an all-time low, you have nowhere to go but up. I think this might be we have nothing to lose. Let's go out against the Saints and let's see if they're sleeping. And the Saints could be sleeping here. I know, and I will say that's a bold prediction. I will acknowledge it's a bold prediction, but I just have, it's like an instinct for me.
Hey, I mean, like I mentioned earlier, we make bold predictions, so we're okay with that one. This next game here has a bold prediction as well from Walter. So go ahead and let us know what your bold prediction is, man.
Bold prediction is that Derrick Henry goes for at least 150 yards on the ground and 2 touchdowns, because the Jets are terrible. Also, you got A.J. Brown and Julio Jones down. So you don't see Tannehill. He doesn't have his wide receiver targets out there. So it's gonna be a heavy dose of Derrick Henry. And from experience, that man, I have to experience him twice a year. That man can run the ball, and the Jets couldn't stop. Oh my God, I can't even think of a good analogy. They can't. Yeah, they can't stop anybody.
They can't stop a sign, man.
Right.
I almost feel like this doesn't qualify as a bold prediction. I actually think this is. I would expect this from Henry.
Okay.
I think if he's under 100 yards, that's a surprise.
I said over 150 though. You can get 150.
No, I know.
Just run it. Not
But
pass,
I'm just
no
saying.
pass, no nothing.
I know. I'm very much aware, but I'm saying like if he's below 100, I think that's a disappointing game for him. I think the expectation is like 100. And I would argue the expectation for him is like 130 and a touchdown. So 150 and 2 touchdowns, not too far from that. Okay. I don't think it's too far from that for me. I think that's a very reasonable like leap. I think if he's 100, I think there's something. I would argue something is maybe Henry's losing the step or something like that because I think the Jets they should run over the Jets.
Oh yeah.
So a bolder prediction would be 200 yards.
All right, we're gonna say 200. And I'll boost it. I got confidence. Let's put.
Hey, you want to go for 200?
200 yards.
Hold on, we gonna update this.
Yeah. I think 200 is. I think 200 is a bold. That's fair. That's completely fair. I think that's a very. I think that if he has that, that's a very good day for Derrick Henry against this team.
I mean, all signs point to feeding Henry like it's a buffet, right? Mm-hmm. Going for seconds, thirds, fourths, still got room for dessert. Like this is that game. I mean, the Jets are abysmal. Like you mentioned, there's no A.J. Brown, no Julio Jones. I mean, Derrick Henry just needs a little over 12,000 yards, to get the all-time record here. I mean, that could probably
get it all this game.
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, he's the only running back like ever to have 2,000-yard seasons in high school, college, and in the NFL, and he did it twice. So, I mean, if anybody can do it, I mean, he can go for 200 easily.
Yeah. You know how I said like at any given week a team could do. This would be a surprise. This would be a surprise game because I at least like Daniel Jones and like they have offensive pieces around him. Like, all right, I can see the Giants pulling this. Like they have the capital to potentially pull this off. The Jets, no, you don't. Zach Wilson is not playing that well. Your offense as a whole not playing that well. You've got shut out against the Broncos. You are not playing that well. I feel like I keep repeating that, but I feel like Jets fans need that through their head. You are not playing well. I think you feel like this has been the last few years. It feels normal. Stop feeling like this is normal. This should not be normal. When this is normal, you're going to, you go into kind of like a mad state with that. This is not normal for the Jets, or it shouldn't be normal for the Jets. It shouldn't be normal for any team. So, but yeah, I think that at the end of the day, it's just I just do not see. It's hard to imagine like the Jets to me. It's gonna be very hard to imagine them beating a team that isn't struggling. Like when they play the Jaguars this year, that is going to be, I think, arguably one of their best shots to win a game.
I mean, based on what we've seen so far, I mean, you're probably right. I will say this: the Titans' secondary isn't the greatest. So if there's a chance for, I call him the Disney Channel quarterback because that's what Zach Wilson looks like. It's a chance for him to actually be productive from a fantasy standpoint. Also a chance for Corey Davis to have a pretty good game as well, just based on the lack of defense on both sides of the ball. So either, the Jets are going to be down a lot and they're going to have a lot of opportunities to throw, or Jets can be in the game somewhat and can attack that secondary.
I love that analogy, Disney Channel quarterback. It's kind of like, it's like if Zac Efron actually played basketball in the NBA, because this is what would happen. This is what would happen if you put someone like Zac Efron's character from that movie in the game. This is what would happen. Like he would get killed. He would probably not last a year or two. Like they were saying, oh, wow, kid was like the star player from this league. Let's bring him up into the NBA and right out of high school. And then you see this, and then you realize, oh yeah, this is why you typically look at college. This is why you typically look at college. This is why you look at G League. This is why you don't just pick players from like that look pretty, but they're really not that good when compared to actual athletes around him. And I right now, like, it almost feels like the Sam Darnold trade was going to end up happening because the Jets screwed him over so badly. But I argue that the Jets like basically took such a downgrade without Darnold because, hey, even with coaching, I don't think Zach Wilson is that good of a player.
Dang.
It's early, but I'm just struggling to see even the dimmest light on this guy.
That's tough right there.
Yeah.
I mean, he has a chance of being productive today just based on that secondary, so we'll see. But either way, we expect Derrick Henry to feast.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about King Henry. We talked about Sir Nicholas Chubb.
I mean,
we need to get a royalty. Jonathan Taylor. Can we get Prince Jonathan Taylor? I'm just joking.
He's more like a jester at this point.
Oh.
Man, let him show up, man. All
yeah.
right.
I'm praying.
This next one here, I expect the Chiefs to win. Chiefs hasn't covered a spread in about 14 straight games now, so I don't know. But I don't know. I find this interesting. It's like I know the Chiefs are going to Chief. That's what they're gonna do. They're gonna do their thing. It's just more so how much I guess the Eagles players are going to be relevant in this game. If they actually give the ball to Miles Sanders more than 2 times, and he can actually have a great game. He could have had a great game last week. But I mean, Jalen Hurts, I mean, he ended up at the end of the game, productive from a fantasy standpoint. Early on, it didn't look too good, but
empty calories.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I feel like it can be more empty calories in this game, but empty calories equal fantasy points, and we take fantasy points how we can get them.
Yep.
I guess any expectations from that side? Because I'm pretty sure we expect what we expect out the Chiefs.
I think this is interesting with the Chiefs because I think that if I had it, I know I'm going to go into kind of like a territory here. I think, again, like I could see this as another potential trap game. I think this is something that the Chiefs concern me a little bit just because Chiefs are coming off a loss, but I also think Mahomes could be in his head because I don't think he's really dealt with like this strong of adversity. Like, yeah, it's a division rival, but even like with the Raiders game, it's not like he actively lost the Raiders game last year for the Chiefs. He kind of or at least the Buccaneers game in the Super Bowl where he kind of got beat. Everyone got beaten down. I mean, that was the Super Bowl against a high caliber team. Like the Chargers weren't playing that well, and I think right now, and especially after the loss, the first loss of the Ravens, I think you're now on a 2-game losing streak. I think they may be asking questions of themselves, and the Eagles are coming off one of their worst games. Some game that Jalen Hurts was famously quoted after the game regarding their play, and he's like, you know what, you've just got to basically forget it, like a turd in the toilet. You have to just forget it.
You gotta take that dump and leave it.
Yeah, and I think right now, like I think the Eagles could be coming in with a lot of energy. It's in Philadelphia. I think there may be cracks on the Kansas City Chiefs, and maybe I'm a hopeful Bills fan. I might be hopeful. I want this to happen for obvious reasons. I'd like the Chiefs to talk their way out of the playoffs and out of this and out of relevancy. I would love them to do that, considering they were the threat going in the year. But I legitimately see like I think that the expectation is that Chiefs pull off what they're supposed to, but I think the Chiefs could continue that. The Chiefs could continue their downward spiral against an Eagles team that's hungry after a very bad loss and a very capable Jalen Hurts and Miles Sanders. That's what I will say. I'm
not saying that happening. That's not happening. I'm not for sure if they legalize the medicinal use of marijuana where you're at, but yeah, you got to be smoking if you think that the Chiefs aren't making the playoffs. And I'm not even a Chiefs fan. And with the issue, I don't think the issue with the Chiefs is anything that has to do with the offense. It's their defense. They've invested in their defense, but they can't stop anybody. So, the offense is like constantly on the field. That's, it kind of keeps teams in it.
I will say I do agree with you normally. The one thing that, and I normally would say that in this type of situation where, oh, yeah, the Chiefs are like, Mahomes is playing well, but their defense is that. But the one thing that really triggers me with what I said is the fact that Mahomes lost them the game against the Chargers. It was Mahomes' 4 interceptions. He was creating a lot of turnovers. And I think the initial loss of the Ravens got a little bit in his head. I think he's not in the right headspace. And I think it's a mental test of, can Mahomes get out of it? And I'm not fully sure if he does get out of it, at least this game.
He's going to get out of this game. And I'm not even a Chiefs fan. I think that, I saw what's happening now. I saw that happening before. It kind of goes back to even when Andy Reid was in Philly. They had a decent defense, and they just kind of went that way. And you can have a really high powered offense, but you got to play both sides of the ball. And yeah.
I think the expectation will be the Chiefs pull this game out. They should pull this game out. But I will say, if the Eagles do pull this game out right now, that should be red lights blaring on the Chiefs. Something's wrong.
Absolutely.
I think this is I will say, Chiefs fans, if you lose this game, this is the time to hit the panic button. If you lose this game, you need to hit the panic button. You could still save the season. Things could still turn out well, but 3 losses in a row is okay. Something's really wrong. This is not a fluke.
I will say this, hypothetically speaking, if they lose this game, I will go on my DraftKings sportsbook and place a bet for them to win the division, even if they lose this game. The 2 losses, they handed the game over, both of them.
Yeah.
The fumble, it's the turnovers. They're beating themselves. I feel like that's what's going on. And so I cannot see them losing this game, but if hypothetically speaking they lose this game, then yeah, I would say at least caution flags. You might have some red flags. That's fine. But personally, I feel like the only real threat in that division to them is probably the Raiders right now. No disrespect to the Chargers, but I think it's the Raiders.
San Diego's threat. I'm not San Diego. The Chargers. Los Angeles.
They're not San Diego anymore.
Yeah, we're never gonna get used to that.
No, not at all.
Because no one wants to admit that they are now Los Angeles, but not even Los Angeles wants to admit they're Los Angeles.
Right.
But yeah, I mean the Chargers, at least right now I think the Chargers show, at least after that win, I do think the Chargers show, I would argue right now, if they lose right now, Raiders win, Chargers win, I don't necessarily think they win that division. I think they may come back. I think they may close the gap, but I think I could see the Chargers and Raiders holding on, especially considering the Chiefs. Okay, so let's hypothetically speak this also, because we also talk about this being a draft game. You know who the Chiefs play next? Buffalo. They go against Buffalo in prime time. That is who their next opponent is. You don't think that despite that loss, you take the Eagles and you might be thinking, oh no, we can't afford to go 2-3, so we're gonna coast in the Eagles game?
Where are they playing that game in Buffalo? Is it in Buffalo?
I believe it is in Kansas City.
So I feel like with that, honestly, I feel like no matter how the Chiefs are playing, probably going to that game, I feel like that might be more so a measuring stick for the Bills, just because the Chiefs have dominated against them recently.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm not disagreeing with that. I think it's a measuring stick for both teams, but I think the Chiefs, especially after their couple losses and seeing how Buffalo has been playing, I think it's right now Buffalo's ahead of it. Unlike I think last time around, Buffalo is ahead of them right now, currently in the standings. Mm-hmm. Right now in the current scheme of things. So again, I think I think right now they're looking at this and they're like, hey, we lose this game, they're going to probably be 4-1. We're going to be probably expectations 2-3. So they may be thinking, oh, let's focus on Buffalo, go into Philadelphia, and then Jalen comes out and rips them a new one, and they create turnovers. and then they now instead of them risking 2 and 3, they're hoping for 2 and 3. They're now and trying to hope to not get 1 and 4. Like I know I'm speaking hypotheticals. I know I'm speaking crazy a little bit here, but I think this is a game that I'd say that as much as I think the expectation is Kansas City, be wary of Kansas City, especially when they haven't covered the spread in 14 straight games, like you've said.
That's true. This game's probably going to be closer than what the average person thinks, just because of that and just lack of putting teams away like they should be doing. So,
amen to that.
So yeah, we'll see. But I also in comment fantasy wise. I mean, I would say this: if you still Patrick Mahomes, like unless you have a reason not to play Patrick Mahomes, play Patrick Mahomes. You got Tyreek Hill, play Tyreek Hill. But I will say, you got Sanders, you got Hurts, play them too. I think the Chiefs defense is giving up a lot of points, and I think this is a type of game they could very well have some very solid games in. So and maybe even Dallas Goedert as well as a potential strong, reliable target for the Philadelphia Eagles. So again, I think there's a lot of good fantasy options in this game from a fantasy standpoint. I agree, because my bold prediction, I was like actually on the fence, was going to be Miles Sanders going off for 100 plus, maybe 3 total touchdowns, because I know they didn't give him the ball a lot last week, but when they do, it's like he is very productive. And if you're going to beat the Chiefs, you're going to have to run the ball.
I was going to say, you think Sanders gets 3 touchdowns, and yet you would not admit that the Chiefs would not. You don't think the Eagles can beat the Chiefs?
I didn't say that, but I would be stunned if the Chiefs lost. But I also know this game should be close based on the Chiefs' history in the last 14 games.
Yeah, I think this is a game that the Chiefs fans may be seeing this as an easy game. I'd be very cautiously concerned about this game.
Right. If Chiefs was at home, it might be a different story, but the road element in as well, Andy's returns to Philly, I don't know, it's just, it's very interesting.
It definitely is.
All right. So the next 2 games are division games. Actually, both of them I'm looking forward to. So Deshaun's not here, but he did leave a bold prediction in this game. Matthew Stafford throws 4 touchdowns and 350 yards passing. And honestly, I can see it happening. Both of these teams, look, the offenses on these teams are prolific. We know that the Rams defense is, leaps and bounds better than the Cardinals defense in general. The Cardinals do have flashes on defense, but I mean, the Rams defense has more times than not can dominate a game more than a lot of other teams. But I mean, Cardinals secondary can be had. I seen Mr. Anthony Calabrese do it a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
I mean, Matthew Stafford is and Sean McVay is a perfect marriage. So Cooper Kupp has been looking like the Cooper Kupp from a couple of years ago again. Robert Woods is drowning right now, but nevertheless, I can see it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I could see that too. I will counter a little bit. First of all, I will say that if you, obviously this is a week to be a little bit wary of the Cardinals players, just because the Rams defense is so prolific, and there could be some if you're DeAndre's kind of coming a little bit off an injury, is still working through that. You have Kyler Murray against a very good defense. Again, they could have good games, they may not. But one of the biggest things I will say, keep an eye on the Rams running game, because I think the expectation is that they're going to pass a lot, and they have been passing a lot. And I think that might be what the Cardinals are planning. So I would not be surprised if Rams win this, but they're winning on the ground game with Darrell Henderson, if I'm not mistaken.
So you're thinking Darrell Henderson is probably going to have a pretty darn good game today?
I think it's going to be Henderson, but I think Henderson is potentially a sleeper pick, but I also think that you're right. It very well could be another Stafford Kupp, maybe Stafford to Woods, maybe Stafford to Woods connects. Maybe that starts to click in this game. Because I will say this for the record. I do fully expect Kupp to start getting double covered.
What about Sonny Michel, though? Because his productions went up, and they traded him right before the season started. So he's getting slowly but surely getting better, but could this be his breakout game?
Possibly. I mean, that definitely could occur, especially in this circumstance with the Rams. But I again, like, and I think because I could be wrong, but I think Darrell Henderson also coming off an injury definitely could create a breakout game for them. So
I'll piggyback off that. So Michelle got the opportunity because Henderson got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
If I tell you what, if the Rams didn't play against, if they played against anybody else but the Buccaneers, Sony Michel probably would have had a lot more productivity, and you'd probably have a lot more discussion about this.
Yeah.
They just so happened to play against the Bucs, who has the number one run defense in the league, and you have to throw against them to win. So, I mean, honestly, I don't know if Darrell Henderson goes right back to his role in his usage rate, and Sony Michel's a forgotten thought, or if Sony Michel starts to dig into that split. I don't know. We don't know until we find out. But this can be a game. If he is used, I mean, Sony Michel can be very productive, I would imagine. And if he does play, and if you play DFS, that'd be a tournament play right there. You never know.
Yeah, I think this is gonna be a very fun game to watch. I think this is gonna be a very interesting game to play fantasy because I think this is gonna be a Rams win. But the Cardinals are very capable, and there's definitely some good players such as Chase Edmonds you could possibly take. Again, Hopkins could go off, Murray can go off. Kirk can go off. Like, I think this is going to be a very good game, and this could very well be a shootout.
Yeah. I would say one matchup to note, because I know Jalen Ramsey usually have the other wide receivers number in a lot of matchups. I just know DeAndre Hopkins is the one that has given him problems. So if you're a DeAndre Hopkins owner, I would say more so your expectations would be more so tempered if more so the injury instead of the matchup, because DeAndre Hopkins has still been productive even with Jalen Ramsey on him in his career.
Hey, with Jalen Ramsey, I think Jalen Ramsey is more of a personality than anything else. Yeah, he gets stats, man, but he'll get a pick every now and then, and it's like blown up. But I watched him against us, and Michael Pittman had his best game of the year. He had to play against a big receiver, and even though Michael Pittman didn't get a touchdown, and Jalen Ramsey did get the last interception of the game, but it was off of freaking Jacob Eason, a backup quarterback. That
was a dumb decision on that.
That was terrible. But is Jalen really? I mean, he has the personality gives him that aura of he's the number one corner in the league. But is he really?
The way he has shut down opposing wide receivers last year, he earned every bit of that paycheck.
He shut down.
DK Metcalf was nowhere to be found. He saw him twice.
But is DK even the best wide receiver on the Seattle Seahawks? And you got Tyler Lockett. I mean,
I think.
And T.Y. Hill used to eat him up every freaking game. I mean, that's what he did. I mean, so is Jalen really? I'd love the personality and I love the confidence and everything, but is he really?
I think that's a fair. I will say that is a fair standpoint. I do think though that the one thing I will comment, like, because you have the such a good secondary around him, is that I think the reason why Jalen has been able to be shown as such a good player is because he's got the other players covering for him when he has a slower game. He makes it seem like, oh, you're not really missing much because no one's focusing about how Jalen gave up a little bit here because they're focusing on the fact that the team still shut the guys down. Like, when Jalen's not doing super well, the other guys are, which is why Jalen is the personality. He is the name behind it. Right. But I think Jalen is more of a product of the collective success of the Rams secondary.
Yeah, I'm about to say another thing. Yeah, this is going to be blasphemous right here. But I was at the game and I watched it. Aaron Donald, and I'm not saying that he's not, one of the best players in the league, but when he was lined up against Quentin Nelson, he didn't do anything. When Aaron Donald was productive is when they moved him around in that game. You never saw him beating you never saw him make too much of an impact when he had Quentin Nelson, but they didn't really highlight that. The only thing they highlighted is when he was lined up over Eric Fisher, who just came off an Achilles tear, or when he was over Mark Lewinsky, or like when he was going against. I was like, I don't know.
I mean, in all fairness, like I think that's also maybe more of a statement on Quentin Nelson's ability as a blocker versus Aaron Donald. I'm not going to go as far as saying I think it would be blasphemous to say Aaron Donald is not a good pass rusher.
I'm saying he wasn't good. I'm just saying
no. I think but I think
where's the love for Big Q?
No, of course I want to get that. Like even the best players at times, like the players that are like hitting all the times, like if you're putting elite player against elite player, it's very hard sometimes. Like sometimes they just get beat. Sometimes there's one elite player that outshines another. Sometimes it's they're very close. Sometimes if they match up again, maybe Aaron Donald goes up and on another day and ends up taking him out more. Like it's a legitimate fight. And sometimes when that happens, it's the best thing to do is move him around, get him against weaker linemen, and then give Aaron Donald the chance to take advantage. Because at the end of the day, it is a team sport.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, no, your guy gets love, especially from over here. Because I remember in that draft, I wanted either him or Roquan. And you all took him, and then we took Roquan. And your guy.
Roquan's not bad though.
No, he's not. He's not.
Yeah.
Your guy is just a generational talent at that position.
I'm trying to get a trade from you guys though. Can we get Cole Kmet and we'll give you Marlon Mack?
No.
Why not? Y'all got like 8,000 tight ends over there. Like
we don't anymore.
Come on. I mean, Marlon Mack is like he's good.
No, we got David Montgomery. We don't need Marlon Mack.
Okay, he could be your backup. I mean, he ran for 1,000 yards.
We got Damian Williams. We don't need Marlon Mack.
Oh my God! Come on, man.
Maybe this next team might need a running back. Seahawks and 49ers.
49ers do need a running back.
Elijah Mitchell's ruled out, so it's Trey Sermon again. I mean, all I know is Seattle has dominated this matchup in the past few years. We all know how good the 49ers team is collectively. But it's like you can't rule out Russell Wilson. You just can't do it. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm just been looking at various rankings through the week, and they love DK and Tyler Lockett in this matchup.
Yeah. I mean, after Aaron Rodgers kind of took advantage of them with Adams, I could very well see those as very good fantasy players for this matchup. I think for the 49ers, especially, I think this is I'm concerned for Garoppolo. I will say this, as much as people have talked about the Garoppolo Trey Lance situation, I feel like they're both all right quarterbacks. I don't think either is a particularly great quarterback. I think that's why we haven't seen Trey Lance take over for Garoppolo, because I don't think either is that overpowering or someone who can really compete in this division. I think the dual, the two quarterback situations, their best outcome because of the way it is right now with the 49ers. And the Seahawks are better. They're I think in the basement of this division. So I think I think Seahawks are playing hungry, and the 49ers are also going to play hungry. I think it's going to be a very close game. I think it's going to be a game, I think, of who wants it more.
And let me ask this on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
George Kittle, as you know, he's been picked probably second roundish, third round, somewhere around there this year, and the return on investment hasn't been there. Even though I believe last week was probably his best game of the season so far, but just overall, I mean, it hasn't been there. I mean, a Dallas Cowboys tight end is outplaying him right now. So
you stole that, Jamar. Hold on, man.
I mean,
I'm just messing.
I am crediting Walter for that.
That's all I want, a little bit of credit.
There you go. But I guess mainly it's like, if you are a George, Kittle owner, I mean, how are you feeling going forward? You think you're gonna turn it around? Is it a wasted? I ain't gonna say a wasted pick, but it's like your production doesn't match the pick. I mean, how are you feeling?
I'm hoping he turns it around just enough time so I can trade him. this guy's is about as reliable as my dad picking me up on weekends. Spoiler alert, he didn't pick me up. No, I'm just kidding. Hopefully none of the family is watching it. I don't care if they are. But,
I don't think you should. Keep it in there.
Hey. I mean, so one thing that scares me off of George Kittle is a lack of production. And now, he's kind of nicked up. So if anybody, hopefully another thing is nobody in my fantasy group is watching this because he's going to be on the trade block. As soon as he has like that breakout game, he's for sale. I mean, you know what I want? I want a running back. So hopefully like somebody sees it as like, it's fool's gold right there. Trades me a halfway decent running back because they're really scarce this year. I'm trying to use him as trade bait. So George Kittle is for sale.
Yeah, I think it's going to be I don't know. I think it's. I wish you luck on that. I don't know if that's going to be as successful as you hope it will be because I think one good game. Even so, I think people are aware this year, especially with fantasy. If you're looking at the running back situation, good running backs are harder to come by. I think there's the teams that have really good running backs. I don't think are going to give them up for like tight ends or high end wide receivers. I think they're holding on for dear life because they know they have a good fantasy player and a good fantasy manager will know that the wide receiver and the tight ends can be found very well in currently in waiver wires if you really need them. But running backs are so hard.
I just picked up Dalton Schultz. Like he mentioned it, and I looked and I was like, "Whoa!" Like Dalton Schultz has like been playing actually pretty good. He's been targeted. Yeah. He's had enough targets.
Enough is all you need is enough.
Yeah, and 2 tubs last game. So I'm like, okay, hold on now. Let me go ahead and snatch him up real quick.
I mean, outside of like 3 tight ends, every other tight end is basically, touchdown dependent. So they're playing in the end zone. I mean, hey, you finding gold at that point.
You know what? Dink and dunk Dak. I mean, I said it. He's the Brown Kirk Cousins. That's the jokes this morning. I'm sorry, man, but
no, go for it.
I mean, hey, that's the green zone.
You're paying both high amounts of money to play just okay. Yeah, I mean, although granted, 2-1 only lost to the Buccaneers, and if they win this, if they beat the Panthers, like. I don't know if that Kirk Cousins. I think he might be just a little better than Kirk Cousins. He might be Kirk Cousins 2.0.
We say that until Kirk Cousins has that game, and you're like, oh yeah, okay, Kirk. But that's the same thing Dak will do. I mean, it's
I we just got to be consistent with it. So I mean, this Dallas team definitely looks head and shoulders better than last year.
Absolutely.
So far.
Oh, absolutely.
So I mean. I'm encouraged by it. So
I mean, granted, last year Dallas had Dak Prescott out for half the season. So, when you're playing Andy Dalton for half your games, and I mean the fact that they were still competitive for the division until the very end is stunning to me. And that's more of a testament of how bad that division was last year than how good the Cowboys were.
I mean, honestly, you would think even with Andy Dalton. Considering, his resume at the time, you would think they would have still pulled away with the division. But
maybe Andy ain't that bad, man.
Andy ain't that bad, but also Andy kind of was on the trajectory downhill as a quarterback. You could tell he was not as good as he once was.
I wish my team would have realized that.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to an interesting game because, man. This is interesting. Very interesting.
This is interesting.
So I've been saying that the Broncos has the best secondary in the league. A couple on top of that, they're playing in Mile High. And the Ravens pass catchers been dropping touchdowns left and right. Hollywood Brown. I mean, Hollywood Brown owners last week that actually played him should be upset. He literally dropped, I don't know about good, at least 12 points on 2 passes, at least.
I'm going to just say this. Hey, any viewers, if you have Lamar Jackson, I'd bench him. I'd bench him this week. Don't play Lamar. I don't think this is a good week for Lamar Jackson. I think you might do better with a waiver wire quarterback over Lamar Jackson.
Dang.
I don't think he's going to have a good game. I think this is a very stout defense. Yes, they had a shutout against the Jets, but this is a very stout defense against a game where there's a good secondary and a good rushing game. And I think Lamar kind of, as much as we talk about the Justin Tucker kick in the Lions game, Lamar didn't look that good against the Lions.
No, because last week we expected Lamar to like just ball out, and he did.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's just bad play on Lamar or credit to the Lions, which I think is more so the Lions. But either way, this Broncos defense, like you're saying,
it's no joke.
It is not. Even without Bradley Chubb, this defense has been lights out. And the fact that you're playing Mile High too. So if we're not playing Lamar Jackson, that means like outside of probably Mark Andrews that you're probably playing, we're probably not playing Hollywood Brown or Sammy Watkins or people even bold enough to play Bateman because he's coming back today. We're not playing any of those wide receivers, right?
I'm not playing any of those wideouts. I would say if you're gonna play a Baltimore player, I'd go Williams. That would be my instinct of go Williams. Get. I think the rusher. I mean, it's hard to find running backs. I think if anyone's gonna have, I think if they do end up in the end zone, I think Williams is gonna be the guy who gets them to the end zone.
What about Lev Bell? He playing today.
Or Le'Veon Bell. You're right, but I don't. I mean, again, it's also. But I also think with Le'Veon Bell, it's how accustomed he is to the playbook, and Williams has gotten a good rapport with the Baltimore offense. That I think he's still I think he's the guy until he starts to struggle.
Right. I agree with that. And wait. Le'Veon Bell. Look, the last time I seen him with my own eyes, he didn't look like that Le'Veon Bell that we used to. The guy that gets the ball, waits for about 2 seconds, and then finds a hole and takes off. Like I haven't seen that.
Remember, he went a while without a team before the Baltimore Ravens kind of, let's be honest, got desperate.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what happened. Otherwise, he'll still be at home right now on the couch. I haven't seen that guy in about 4 years now. So ever since he left Pittsburgh, I haven't seen that guy because now the last time I saw him actually playing, he'll get the ball, wait, and get popped in the backfield. That's what I've seen.
Le'Veon's back. I don't care. Le'Veon's back.
Yeah. Just wait till the Ravens play the Steelers again.
It's the Le'Veon Bell reboot. It's like one of those kind of thrown together cash grab reboots that it really is like, hey, the nostalgia. Remember Le'Veon Bell? Yeah, he's back in this because he couldn't find work where else, honestly. And now he's back and he's here to do mediocre for maybe 1 or 2 seasons, and then we never see him again. That's how it goes sometimes.
Yeah. And then on the flip side, really quick, the Ravens have given up some plays in the secondary.
Oh yeah.
So I mean,
Sutton's a play. Sutton.
What about Hamlin?
Sutton, Hamlin, Teddy Bridgewater. I think Bridgewater has been at times shown to be a bit of a questionable fantasy play, but I think this is. I just think that this is going to be a week that you're just going to see Bridgewater maybe go off. I think he's. I would say I would argue if you have Bridgewater and Jackson, play Bridgewater.
I have Jackson, but I chose Justin Herbert over him because Justin Herbert's a stud.
Yeah, no, I'm Justin Herbert's fair. That's fair. Justin Herbert's still better than Teddy Bridgewater in this situation. But Teddy Bridgewater, if you don't have Herbert, Bridgewater over Jackson.
Dang.
Okay. And then lastly, before we move on, which running back out the Broncos backfield do you feel more comfortable with, Javonte Williams or MG3?
That's 50-50 toss up for me.
Coin flip.
Yeah.
All right.
Coin flip. Yeah.
I'm not putting any money.
My advice, avoid it if you can't flip a coin.
Yeah, it's like Pepsi and Coke. They pretty much
personal preference.
Yeah.
All right. So this next one here, I'm hoping that the Ravens rivals can get it done here. Me personally, I'm all for it. So I think the spread is about 6, and I think the Steelers actually cover that, in my opinion, because TJ Watt is playing. That pass rush should be there. But as far as fantasy, there's no Chase Claypool. You are Deontay Johnson is back. You stuck with Juju as well. I mean, honestly, if the Steelers have any chance, I feel like they would need to run the ball with Najee Harris. Can Najee be? I mean, is he worthy? Can he have a top 10 finish this week? Can he have a top 15? Like, where are expectations for Najee on this one?
With the Steelers, I don't know. You guys ever watch wrestling?
Back in the day,
Y'all remember Vince McMahon's theme song?
no chance.
No chance in hell.
Aaron Rodgers is about. I was wondering where you were going with it. I was just thinking more of, if you were saying wrestling, it's like, oh yeah, it's like this frail old man that's walking in. That's on his last legs. No. It's like it's on his last legs, and you see the big strong and like he's gonna get body slammed. I mean, that's what's gonna happen. The Packers are playing on all lights out right now. I mean, I think whatever happened in that first game with Rodgers, he's shaking off.
It was too hot.
Yeah, no. Well, I don't even think he was too hot. I think Rodgers was arguably rusty. I think Rodgers and Allen, were both rusty in that first week. And I think that first week for both of them woke them up. And I think right now, I just think Rodgers is playing like Rodgers. I just do not see, like, even if the Steelers, incredible, even with Watt, I think the Packers around him have enough of a high-powered offense that it's like, yes, the Steelers could do damage, but I just don't think that the Steelers defense is that good.
I agree.
They're not. But on the flip side, Packers defense isn't as good as it was last year by any means.
Oh no, I'm not even questioning that. I'm not saying it's gonna be a blowout, but I'm not. I don't want to go that far because I think for obvious reasons. I more called the analogy because I think it is. I think still, no matter what, could be a Packers win. I don't know if they'll cover. I think a Steelers win for them is going to be covering. If they cover, that's a win. Like, if you keep it within a touchdown, that's a win.
I can see that. Seriously, I can see that.
Yeah.
All right, so we got 2 more games left. We got the Sunday night game.
Oh,
Tom Brady's return.
Most overhyped game of the week.
Absolutely.
Overhyped game of the week. This is Superman versus Batman. You're playing a rich guy. No, I know. It sounds
Batman. Hold on. Excuse me.
Yeah, no. You're gonna say all you want. You're gonna say all you want that this looks like this is what it has. It has the appearance of this high caliber matchup. But then you realize, hey, Superman has powers. Batman's just rich. Yeah, I mean, if in a legitimate fight, Superman's gonna beat them.
But he's super rich, so that's a superpower. Batman is my favorite hero. I'm not taking this. He's super rich. Have you ever heard about Bruce Wayne or the Wayne Foundation having to file for bankruptcy? No, because he's rich. You got money.
But there's a different thing. There's a different thing here where money can only take you so far. And for Bill Belichick, just players around him only can take him so far.
They went to outer space because they have money.
They have. Listen, good for you. You can do you can do the best of what humans can do. But hey, Superman's an alien species. He's somehow defying time and gravity with how he's playing right now. I don't know what you expect. Like,
you talking Tom Brady?
Like, okay, the movie made that matchup seem closer than it is. But I'm telling you this right now: if both were actually in a fight, Superman beats them round 1, not even a question, because he actually has superpowers that humans cannot, that no human can replicate. And that's kind of the problem right now with Brady versus Belichick. Belichick, at the end of the day, is just an okay coach. I know people, and I think people are just seeing that. They're just seeing that he is just an okay coach, because when he doesn't have Brady around him, think of last year, think of this year, when he does not have Brady around him and that Patriot way around him, that team struggles. And Mac Jones is not a guy, Mac Jones or Cam Newton, neither were the guy that at the moment that I don't think they can carry this team. I think this is going to be a blowout. And they're hyping this up as much as they can as Tom's return, but this is a glorified homecoming smackdown for the Buccaneers.
Okay, so I think it's going to be a smackdown, but we about to reel this in real quick with this Tom Brady talk. So when we talk about the Patriot way and the Tom Brady, all this and that, you know what the Patriot way is. You know what the Tom Brady, the TB12 way is. Hey, let me surround myself with the most talent that I can, which that he is super smart for that. He is super smart. I don't think that, because if you took Tom Brady and put him on the Atlanta Falcons right now, no, they're not going to be legit. Like Tom Brady, he did the smartest thing ever. Let me go to this team, this stacked team with this stacked receivers with a really good defense, and all I don't have to do is turn over the ball. That's it. I mean, he's got more weapons than John Wick. I got like a whole. We need to have like a whole segment about Tom Brady that I'm just going to unleash everything I have built up inside of me. But the big thing, it's going to be. I think what is going to be big is going to be Tom Brady against New England's defense. Do I think he's going to chop him up? Absolutely, because he has more weapons and he's going to be on the field a little bit more. So he's going to wear them down. But to say Bill Belichick is like an okay coach, no, that's not it. Because Tom Brady's first 3 rings came from that Patriots defense who was coached by Bill Belichick. Every time they won the Super Bowl, they've had a top 5 defense. It's coached by Bill Belichick. Tom Brady's not calling plays on defense. No, we're not doing that.
You know what? You're right. I'm sorry. I'm going to retract my initial analogy, and I'm going to revise it to Batman versus the rest of the Justice League. Because
I love it.
Because you're right. It's not all Brady, but if we're going to argue who's the stacked team right now, it's the Buccaneers.
Well,
you have Superman, but he's got his friends, and you're all going against Batman. I'm sorry. I don't care how much money you have. You are not going to beat that many people with superpowers. I'm sorry.
Right. We agree on that. I'm sorry, man. This Tom Brady thing, it's near and dear to my heart. Because Tom Brady is like the smartest quarterback. Like he's a good quarterback. I think he's great. But at the same time, like Tom Brady's smart. He's like, hey, I got a billionaire wife. Yeah, I'll take a pay cut. Like I don't think Tom Brady's ever been the highest paid quarterback in the league. For him to be the GOAT, he's never been paid like the GOAT. You know,
he doesn't take the Tim Duncan approach.
I feel like
absolutely.
Yeah, I think. Although I will say, I could be wrong, but I think he got paid very well when he went to the Buccaneers.
They did. Okay, so they paid him, but then he got all that money in a signing bonus, which you know how they've been manipulating.
Yeah. So cap room, like it's deceiving. It's cap room. But he did get paid a lot. Let's be honest.
Very smart. But like at the same time, like when you compare him to like a Peyton Manning, if you took a Peyton Manning or Aaron Rodgers and put him on those same exact teams, they don't lose those Super Bowls. I'm sorry. Peyton Manning doesn't lose either one of those Super Bowls to the Giants. Aaron Rodgers doesn't lose any of those Super Bowls to the Giants. I think they're better quarterbacks, but they'll never get the recognition because they like Peyton will take all the money. Aaron Rodgers is taking all the money. And then he's like, hey, give me something. It's like, hey, we can't give you anything because you have all the money.
I mean, you have draft capital, and we're like, yeah, well, yeah. And then they hung up the phone for years on years until Rodgers stopped answering their calls.
Right.
Just like that bitter ex-boyfriend trying to deal with a bitter girlfriend, just like they're not answering. You know what? Fine. I'm going to play hard to get. You want to deal with me? Deal with this. I'm done. I am done. I'm not coming to your functions. I'm not coming anywhere near you. Screw off. And basically forced him to come crawling back, eventually realizing, hey, he's serious.
Man, this segment has been awesome.
My bad, man.
I enjoyed all of it. I mean, like the analogies with the superheroes. I mean, I've always for my superhero analogy. I always if Tom Brady is Steve Rogers, I always call Mac Jones John Walker. That's how I.
Oh damn!
I call him John Walker's Captain America. I do.
Yeah. Also, fantasy wise, I will say this: the Buccaneers have shown to give up a fair amount of points for the most part. As much as I will say there's question marks. I will say keep an eye on some Patriots. Not Mac Jones. Don't play Mac Jones, but look at the running backs. Look at the receivers. because I think there could be some quiet sleepers out of the Patriots skill players.
So you mean N'Keal Harry is going to finally show his first round draft pick potential?
Oh my gosh.
That guy's
maybe more so Jacoby Myers.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I can see that. And as far as the Bucks, I was hoping that Gronk played because I'm pretty sure Gronk played, he would have scored at least a touchdown, if not two.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that would have been.
What about tight ends? Like, who do you start now? Do you start Howard or what's that guy's name?
Brady.
Yeah, Brady.
I would say whoever they do start, play him because I think they may have made the game plan considering Gronk was going to play, and I think they're gonna still run that game plan. I think it's going to be Howard or Brady. I think whoever that goes in is going to get a touchdown.
And I expect Tom Brady to just be lights out, like completely lights out tonight. So,
yeah,
I mean, he's back in New England. He's going to pass the all-time passing record too, and he want to stick it to Bill Belichick. I mean, all signs point to Tom Brady just lighting it up.
Depends on if they have a defensive end come through and hit him low. First play of the game.
Come on,
man.
I'm just saying.
I mean, that's why we play the game.
Yep.
All right, so we expect that to be a blowout. Monday night's game. I love this matchup.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This is a good matchup.
It's gonna be like the Crips and the Blood in South Central LA. It's gonna be a hell of a shootout.
I mean, yeah. I can see that. I'm gonna go on record and say Derrick Carr, if healthy, he's gonna pass for over 6,000 yards this year. His trajectory is bonkers.
I think the Raiders are playing. You know what? I've given some crap about John Gruden's play for the last couple of years, and I'm starting to kind of come around where I'm like, all right, you know what? You're winning right now. I'm willing to say, on condition, I'm retracting that statement where I'm saying you keep playing like you are. I'm going to retract that statement. I'm not saying you're winning a title this year, but I'm willing to say you're going to be a playoff team at this rate. If you somehow lose, even if the Chiefs do come back, I see the Raiders as a wild card. And I know it's early, but I see the caliber. I see the type of clutch plays they're playing right now. And I think the Chargers just don't have that factor. And I think at the end of the day, that's going to be the difference, where I think the Raiders can play in high pressure situations and the Chargers can't.
I respectfully disagree because I had to look at something. I was like, well, the Raiders, they're 3-0, but who do they beat?
They got some quality wins, man.
Ravens.
They beat the Ravens. That's their only quality win.
Steelers on the road.
Yeah. Steelers are terrible. We just talked about how bad the Steelers were and how bad Big Ben was. We're not. No, they're not.
No. Look at the scenario though. So week one, the Steelers defense won that game against his Bills. So a lot of us thought that the Steelers was going to win against the Raiders at home. Raiders put up 37 points.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Blew the top off the defense. That was unexpected.
26. They put up 26 against the Steelers. They put up 33 against the Ravens, and they won by 6 points. And then the Dolphins, they beat the Dolphins by 3 points. We're not doing that in overtime against the Dolphins.
But didn't they score 30-plus points against the Dolphins defense?
31 points against the Dolphins defense.
Yeah, 31 points against the Dolphins.
They allowed 28 points by the Dolphins offense.
But
no, again, we're not
that fool's gold right here.
I'm not saying that the Raiders are going to blow out the Chargers. I'm not going to say it. I think both offense and I think there's a lot of good fantasy plays both around. I think this is a shootout. I think this is going to be a shootout. But I think at the end of the day, Raiders are going to do what the Raiders have been doing because I've seen the games where Raiders, they've had 2 close games. They ended up winning both those close games that have gone to overtime. Chargers, they've had multiple close. Yes, they beat the Chiefs close, but they also lost to the Cowboys by a clutch field goal. I think that there's just that unquantitative factor that I think the Raiders are going to continue to produce, and I think that's why and honestly, a Chargers home field advantage is basically the equivalent of a neutral field.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, that's nothing.
I don't know, man, dude. I'm not sold on the Raiders. I've never been sold on John Gruden ever since. And there's a little bit of hate there because of the Tony Dungy thing. Like John Gruden was never a great quarterback. I mean, never a great coach. Yeah, he won a Super Bowl with Tampa Bay, but he literally went in there, played against his own team, his previous team, and the defense was already set. Nah, we're not doing that.
No, I'm not. I'm not gonna go that far and say John Gruden is a great coach, but I will say I do respect a non-0-9 base 3-0. I do respect that, and I do think that at the end of the day, I do believe that the Raiders have at least shown the ability to beat a team like the Chargers. I'm not saying that they're going against the Packers or the Panthers or the Bills. Would I be saying the same thing? No, I would say that is going to be. That is going to be a very close game. Those are games that I think the Raiders could very well lose. But I think right now, like against the Chargers, I think the Chargers are a team that has a lot of promise, but is flawed. And I think I think right now, I think the Raiders, the way they're playing, the momentum they have, I think they're going to be able to take advantage of it just by the narrowest margins.
Yeah, I would say so. Basically, I agree with everything you just said, Shane. So like the Chargers have like gobbles of potential, right? The Chargers, like their offense is, can put up points on any given day. Their defense, they have defensive playmakers. It's just more so that potential, just honing it in and just getting it done. Justin Herbert's still young. So, some scenarios, some, game situations may not work in their favor. What we're saying with the Raiders is, like, we've seen the Raiders in the past couple of years have close games, end up losing. The Dolphins last year knocked them out of contention in a close game, late game situations. This year, similar situations, the Raiders got it done. They win in close games now. It gives me, like, confidence to think that they have maybe turned the corner in that aspect and winning games they should win and, getting the job done. So that's definitely my point of view on it. Personally, I got the Raiders winning this game. It's going to be a close one.
It's going to be close. I'm not disagreeing with that.
I'm taking Chargers.
I think I will say this is an interesting thing to keep in mind. Does Josh Jacobs play?
Oh, it's a really good question. Oh, man, I didn't think about that.
I mean, I'll say this. Even, like, if he doesn't, I mean, from a fantasy perspective, Peyton Barber looked really good last week.
Yeah.
Kenyon Drake's also on that team, if I'm not mistaken. Like they got multiple weapons. I'm not saying they don't. I'm just saying be wary of Josh Jacobs. Look, I would say for Raiders, look at Derrick Carr, look at the receivers, look at Ruggs, because Ruggs could have a solid game, I think, here. And then on the counter side of it, I think Herbert's also going to go off again because Herbert's a safe pick against the Raiders. And I also think that, again, Keenan Allen, look at the people who do well with the Chargers. I think that's a game that's destined to be a shootout. I think that's a safe, if you need some players with a lot of fantasy points, I think that's where you go.
Yeah. And I'll even throw in Mike Williams because he's been balling out this year.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Touchdown hog. So, yeah, this is definitely a fantasy-friendly game by all means. And an actual great game to watch, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely, no question. I think this is going to be overall a very good week of football, and I think that I will tell you, I just got a feeling of this where I've kind of made a few bold predictions, but I think this week especially, I think there's going to be a couple big shocking upsets, and I think those are where I will say, like, I think if you think that the week is going to go the way you think it is, it doesn't typically. If the second you're like, oh, this is the team that's the favorite, this is the team's going to win, this team's a lock, this team's a lock. I think right now there's definitely some upset potential. I think there's definitely some quiet players that can come up, and there's a lot of make it or break it weeks coming up as well. This is a big week for the Dolphins. This is a big week for the Bears. I think this is a big week to show the legitimacies of how legitimate are the Panthers and the Cowboys, how strong are the Raiders. Like, this is going to be are the Chiefs really in panic mode? There are some really strong storylines, and I can't wait to see how this week ends up shaking out.
it feels like we're handing out progress reports after this week, right?
Oh yeah, quarter one progress reports at this point.
Exactly. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it all. I mean, hey, I would say I had fun today.
Oh, absolutely.
This is great.
Yeah, such a great way to start the fantasy morning.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. So you're heading to the game, right?
Yeah, I am.
Good luck to you guys today.
Good luck.
I mean, if you see somebody go through a table, let us know. Man, I would. That's one of my bucket list items to go to a game in Buffalo. I just between the wings, the tables, the atmosphere. Like I'm on record saying, if I wasn't a diehard Bears fan, I would be a Bills fan. I would.
Oh yeah. Bills, such a great fan base, and definitely. It's definitely a different type of experience. I will say COVID's a little bit weird, obviously, with everything, but it's definitely a very. Even so, I think it's still a very energetic experience, and it's definitely. I think it's hard to match it anywhere else in the NFL. You can't match it anywhere else in the NFL, to be honest. I think this is just that type of team, and this is an area that cares so much about it.
I can see that.
You go to so many places here. It's just like they all support this team, and it's heavy Bill stuff. Like you go to LA, yeah, they support Rams in some degree, but they don't really it's not really the focus. No. Like this is the area focus.
We got Dallas though, man. Dallas, their fans are so obnoxious. They're like naive. Like when you guys weren't good, and you guys were rebuilding, like you guys weren't living in this fantasy land. When you talk to a Dallas Cowboys fan, it's like, oh yeah, we're going to the playoffs this year. It's like, bro, no, you're not.
Every year.
Yeah, we're going to Super Bowl. No, you're not.
Yes.
Yeah, I say that, they call me delusional. They say it. They're like, all right, well, we're gonna take your word for it.
Right.
It's just come on, honestly. This is a rare year. Here's the big thing. The Cowboys have multiple titles. They have 4 or 5 titles. I can't name it off the top of my head because I don't want to. But I think right now Buffalo is looking for their first. And at the moment, heading into this week, they are at the moment, I believe by ESPN percentage wise, they are the favorites from a Super Bowl winning standpoint. Because even though the Rams are considered number 1 in power rankings, I believe, to my understanding, that the NFC, because it's so crowded, and the AFC kind of being less dense, it makes Buffalo's path to that game much easier than any individual NFC team.
I can see that, because basically your real threat is the Chiefs whenever they wake up. That's about it. If they don't wake up, then it just makes it that much more easier for you all to get to where you need to be.
Yeah, then we're the AFC favorites if they don't wake up. Honestly, if what I said comes true and they go into Thursday night to really, or not, I don't know if it's Thursday night, but they go into their next game basically in a position to just be like, hey, let's shut you up. Right. Let's shut you up. Let's basically put you at 1-4. We're gonna go 4-1. We'll have a 3-game lead and the tiebreaker. That is that would be a statement.
That would. All eyes will be on that game for sure.
Oh, I think no matter what, all eyes will be on that game.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right. So I guess one more time, let us know where you're from. Let us know your podcast. Just let the people know.
All right. Yeah. Next to the Block on Apple Podcasts and soon to be on YouTube. We are the ultimate fantasy competition podcast right now. Everyone's taking a quarterback, running back, wide receiver, / tight end. Once you take a player, you can't take him again. And last players, and every week, lowest player gets eliminated. Last player standing wins $500, and it's already getting heated. There have been some close ones. The last elimination was by 0.14 points in a PPR league. Yeah,
it hurts.
Yeah, the narrowest of margins, and it was by the Eagles. It was by the Eagles basically getting Miles Sanders getting 1 less catch. Yeah. And the guy who got saved by Miles Sanders was an Eagles fan. Because Miles Sanders got 1 less catch, an Eagles fan, despite them losing that badly, got saved.
Jeez.
Yeah, so we got some very interesting stuff. So if you want to find out this week's result, and definitely keep in touch with us.
Absolutely.
We're on Twitter. We're on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Next to the Block, all one word.
All right.
Nice. I mean, can I get in this next year?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm definitely gonna be looking for some new people next year.
All right. We'll definitely stay in touch. So thank you for joining us.
Anytime. This is honestly a pleasure.
Likewise.
All right.
All right. So as far as Destination Fantasy, basically you can find us Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon, basically any platforms we're there. We're streaming live on YouTube and Facebook. Find it a one-stop shop at thedestinationfantasy.com. But yeah, at this point, I'm just gonna get ready for my leagues. If you have any fantasy questions, you can hit us up on social media. We're there: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. But I guess until next week, for Walter, for our special guest Shane, thank you once again. I'm Jamar. Peace out. See you next week. Much love, and thank you for the support.